Censorship has been within the JRPG history pages since the very beginning. 9 out of 10 JRPGs have been censored or altered somehow since the 80s. So today, we're gonna take a look at the censorship in some of them, but I'll be focusing on the ones most of you probably didn't know about, so let's begin. Number 10, Skies of Arcadia. I've made a bunch of videos on censored JRPGs before. I won't be covering any of the ones in those, but I'll leave them at the end. Earlier this year I made a review of Skies of Arcadia and I didn't mention any of its censorship because I didn't know it had any. To my shocking surprise, it does, and it's a lot. Sega of America did some really stupid changes to both versions. All smoking and cigarettes were removed. Several references to alcohol were also removed, such as altering dialogue of NPCs that are literally drunk in the Japanese versions, or changing the name of rum to Lokua, whatever the hell that means. Why would they change this if both versions got a teen rating? Do teens don't know what smoking and drinking means? Sega also altered a few lines for no justifiable reason. In one scene, Aika says that she hates dirty old men, but that was changed to she hating on cockroaches and ghosts. Why? Were dirty old men going to be offended if they left that? Belena's and Vigoro's outfits were also made a bit more modest, especially Belena since her original dancer clothes were more transparent. I could go on, but you get the idea. I didn't know there was a lot of stuff censored with this game, and I'm sure neither did most of you. Number 9, Baten Kaitos, all versions. The original Baten Kaitos apparently had no censorship, or I couldn't find any out there. The remaster on Switch did, but it's nothing compared to the one in its sequel. The first Baten Kaitos remaster though had several lines changed, which was the real reason why it didn't include its original crappy English dub. However, Origins is the one that got the most censorship, even since the original GameCube release. The real name of the game is Baten Kaitos 2, Wings of the Beginning and the Heir of the Gods. As you may already know, video games in the West have a long history of censoring religious themes, references and imagery. A few character names were also altered without an explanation. In the Japanese version, you could select your spirit's gender between male or female. For some bizarre reason, the North American release skips straight to the naming screen and the story treats you like male the rest of the game. Of course, naming your character is extremely restrictive, as you may have imagined. Late in the game, without spoiling anything story-wise, the protagonist Sagi ends up tied in a cross, as in Crucified. Well, that was replaced with him being tied in a block. The song Chaotic Dance 2, which is Giacomo's battle theme, had its lyrics altered. Original says, "Praise the Lord," but that was changed to some unintelligible lyrics for the Western release. The Switch remaster, of course, did not fix any of the censorship I just mentioned. Sad. Number 8, Fairy Tail. This is an RPG based on the legendary anime and manga released on PS4, Switch and Steam. When it came out, absolutely zero censorship existed. Koei Tecmo, the publisher, even promised that no version will have any censorship worldwide. But soon after that, after the game was published, they decided to add a really strange patch to it, and it was done worldwide. There's been cases like this before and after, but considering the huge amount of fan service this game has, I'm extremely confused by the patch. What it did was add some shades or darkness below any female character if they're wearing a skirt. Why? What's the point of this if the game already has these over-the-top designs, sexy outfits, and very busty proportions for the girls? And they even put this patch in all versions, including the Japanese ones! This is one of the most nonsensical censorship I've seen in a video game. Upskirts are offensive, but giant boobs, cleavage, and sexy bikinis are not? Okay, that's modern censorship video game logic for ya! Number 7, Atelier Rorona. Speaking about Koei Tecmo, they've owned the series for a while now, and they did the same with Atelier Rorona and others with recent remasters, as with Fairy Tail. But the original Atelier Rorona was published by NIS America. Sure, they're known for their bad translations, but back then they weren't known for this level of censorship. Characters' ages were changed, increasing some for a few years. Why? Because allegedly they were too young for some of the scenes and dialogue and battle animations? Weird, considering none of this was done in the sequel Atelier Totori, also on the PS3 by the same publisher. Look at this! A few characters' personalities were slightly altered, like Tiffany being pervy towards Rorona. It was now toned down, and Esty, believe it or not, was fixated to date guys in the original script. All gone in the international release, and she now behaves the way you probably saw if you play the game. Lastly, and apparently, there was a bizarre love triangle between Rorona, Sturk, and Astrid in the original Japanese game, completely removed or censored in the worldwide release. Every single version of this game that came afterwards has added even more censorship than that, and it isn't the only one censored on PS3. Meruru had similar issues, as well as Shelly, and Shelly was now published by Koei Tecmo, by the way. So yeah, the Atelier series ever since Rorona came out has suffered the wrath of censorship worldwide. Number 6. La Pucelle Tactics. We ain't done with Koei. They published this game in Europe while a company called Mastiff did the job in the US. However, it was Mastiff that got the short end of the stick with the censorship. Most religious imagery and references were entirely gone. All crosses were removed. Hell was renamed as the Dark World. Also, of course, smoking and alcohol references were done for. The character Kroi smokes and has cigarettes, but they were removed here. His gun was also redesigned to look less threatening? Seriously? This? First smoking and drinking and now making a gun look less, scary? Mamelon is renamed Papillon. This was done probably because Mamelon means something very funny in Spanish, but I can guarantee you no one in the US would have noticed since they don't even know what it means. Another stupid change. Now, you'll be shocked to know that NIS America remastered the Ragnarok version of this game, originally released on the PSP only in Japan. And since that one had no censorship, because it never left Japan, well, their localization was based on that, and all of it was gone, surprisingly. So the Prini Collection Volume whatever on Switch is now the best version of this game to play in English, surprisingly. Number 5. Illusion of Gaia. First of all, I don't know why it was called Illusion of Gaia over here while its original name is Illusion of Time. Why change the name of the game? The censorship in this game goes from a lame and nonsensical translation to, once again, religious stuff. The game starts you off in a school, remember? Well, in the original game it's actually a church. As you can see here, even the teacher looks like a priest, but it makes no sense because the background is altered. The crucifix behind up there is gone. Some blood was also entirely removed from the game, by the way, and there's also an alteration with the final boss that I won't show here to avoid spoilers, but it was also changed for no apparent reason. Link in the description. Anyways, fortunately this didn't suffer any major changes, but still, it was interesting to see how even some obscure games got the censorship axe back in the day. There are retranslation mods out there for some of these games on the internet. Look them up, I'm sure you'll find them. Number 4. Yggdra Union. Ever seen a case where the censorship of a JRPG is done in Japan, but not worldwide? Yup, it's backwards with this game. It's just one scene where the main lead, Yggdra, is taking a bath. In the original Game Boy Advance release, leaves and foliage cover almost her entire body. In the PSP version, she's wearing a towel and steam or some lights are covering the rest. The rest of the world got this scene uncensored. Yeah. Sadly, it's remastered on Switch and Steam worldwide is just as censored as the Japanese originals. But anyway, this one was silly, I know that, but it was worth including because it's so rare to see a Japanese game censored in Japan, but uncensored anywhere else. Number 3. Fire Emblem 7. Obviously, all of the major and popular JRPG franchises have been censored. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Tales of, Persona, Xeno, Pokemon, etc. Fire Emblem 2. You probably already know the Switch and 3DS titles went through a lot of localization shenanigans. But what about the older ones? Do you think they were safe? No! The very first Fire Emblem we ever got in North America, which is number 7, had a lot of dialogue completely altered or even censored. Starting off, Lynn is actually 15 years old, but because she's wearing a sexy outfit, they changed her age to 18 in North America. Religious references were obviously also altered, such as the Devil's Island now being called Dread Isle, but whenever any character says damn, yes, that's right, merely damn, the entire line, not just that word, was changed. Also saying stuff like what the hell seemed way too offensive apparently. Of course, you can expect a few lines being deemed sexist back then that were also altered for the US release. In the description of this video, you will find all of my sources, so you can see way more comparisons yourself, especially for these games since I couldn't find any comparative screenshots or footage, only the dialogue recaps in the links below. Number 2. Live Alive Remake. Modern remakes. For the past few years, a lot of them have censored, altered, or pretty much removed several stuff, including the Live Alive remake. The original Super Famicom game never left Japan, but it's fan-translated. No censorship exists within it. It's the remake that got the axe. Yet another case where the dialogue was deemed too offensive for a Western release. Allegedly, a lot of the lines were considered as sexist, so they were either toned down or removed. Silly stuff like Annie's Nighty being renamed as Annie's Diary. Okay. Akira having Watanabe attempt to steal Taiko's underwear was changed to just stealing money. And some of the dumbest, most innocent childish jokes were altered to things that are more questionable. Mariachis don't even use the word amigo anymore, as if any Mexican in this planet, including me, will get offended if a mariachi says amigo. Man, what a truly strange and nonsensical localization. Number 1. Triangle Strategy. One case even more strange and nonsensical is this one. Similar to the Unicorn Overlord translation from last year, the localization altered a lot of lines here that I'm not sure I understand. I'll show you a bunch. Take a look at what Huguette here says to Frederica in Japanese and compare it to the English release. I'm completely at a loss here. What exactly is she saying in Japanese that was so inappropriate they felt the need to alter? In this other one with the Roselle, which is a race of characters in the game, they deleted an entire sentence and left the text with this. I understand they wanted to stylize it with some old English language slangs and speech, again, just like Atlus did with the Unicorn Overlord, but deleting entire sentences? What's wrong with the pride of the Roselle? Others, I guess, were deemed sexist like this one, but replacing gender words like woman makes no sense to me. In fact, it feels even worse. Here's another example changing woman to queen. The context is the same, so why change it? In other lines, it seems to be completely fine though. Look at this. Well, fine as long as they also changed the entire context of it because it was too offensive. And these examples I've shown you are just a few of many out there. You can even find them easily with a quick search on Google Images. Anyway, I didn't know this game was censored until I made this video. So that's it. Don't forget to check out these two videos for more censorship in JRPGs. Thanks for watching, and see you next time!